What was immediately exciting when I was first looking at this album is that the images are very clearly telling a story. It feels like it is Mao's propaganda team trying out what they can do, what has a positive effect as they present this to an important Western visitor. So this story starts with that visit.
Lady Cripps existed in the sort of upper echelons of society in the 1940s, among really the most important movers and shakers in Britain at the time. Her husband, Sir Stafford, was the Chancellor of the Exchequer, and sort of together they had this really powerful relationship. They really helped influence British foreign policy and more generally the way that the British people were thinking about China during this time.
Well, one of the privileges of doing what I do is that sometimes we are presented with something that we've just never seen before and that is totally unique. And the discovery of this album is very much an example of this, where I knew basically what I was looking at, but we had very little history, very little background of such materials.
Thanks to Henry's discoveries, we could confirm that this album clearly came from this meeting with Mao. But we wanted to get a sort of deeper sense of what this meeting meant to the two of them. And we thought there'd be no better place to start than in the archives of the Cripps family.
So we're here in the Western Library, part of the Bodleian Libraries in Oxford, to have a look at the Stafford Cripps and Lady Isobel Cripps collection and archive. Once we understood that Lady Isobel had met with Mao, we wanted to sort of dive deeper into the story and see what we could find. And it seems that in these archives, there are further records of Mao meeting Lady Cripps and records of her trip, records of her speaking after her return about how much the trip impacted her, and hopefully some signs that she might have met Mao himself.
After hours of digging through images and old diary entries and old letters, I sort of stumbled upon a selection of photos taken, we believe, by Peggy Cripps on their trip to China. Each one showing the different stages of their journey, the people they met along the way, various aspects of modern China that fascinated them, from rug spinning to paper making, and of course to their meeting with Mao.
Mao clearly recognised the importance that art had in terms of representing the people and telling the story.
It was very clear that China was looking beyond itself to see where it could go next, and important figures like Lady Cripps were really part of that next step for China. The album is made up of 71 unique woodblock prints, we presume made between 1940 and 1946.
One of the things that was so nice about it as I started gently turning the pages and noticing that each of the prints had its own little title, not only in Chinese but with an extra slip translating it into English for Lady Cripps to be able to read it, I presume, was that they were in remarkably good condition. I suspect the book has not really been opened very much in the years that the family has held it. And so the images themselves are really strong, beautifully rich ink, and they leap off the page at you.
The album isn't just remarkable in its size and quality, but also some of the individual pieces in this album are really remarkable and come from very important artists who go on to really run the modern art movement in China as we know it today. Gu Yuan, who's featured frequently throughout the album, went on to found the printmaking department of the Central Academy for Fine Arts in Beijing, and actually goes on to be president of CAFA, this Central Academy of Fine Arts. Another really important figure is Yan Han, who is included at the end of the album where he discusses the incident of the 5 heroes of Langya Mountain. This series is in itself a very celebrated and important early woodblock series.
One of the things that we at Sotheby's are privileged to do when we handle an object of this unique nature and quality is that we are able, by doing this research, by looking deeper, to unearth and to tell the story.
It's easy to see these albums just as, a piece of art, but when you get into it, you see that it's more than just a piece of art. This sits into a much broader world of history, and we think that really gives this piece a sort of unique value. In a really seminal forum on literature and art in Yan'an in 1942, major communist leaders sort of sat down to really discuss what the future of art would look like. And in his concluding remarks, Mao really puts very succinctly, what is the purpose of this art in the new world the communists are trying to make. He says, "To defeat the enemy, we must rely primarily on the army with guns. But this army alone is not enough. We must also have a cultural army, which is absolutely indispensable for uniting our own ranks and defeating the enemy."